Can you hear me now? You know, it's always like excellent connection. I'm like, my delay is so bad. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put my mic on. Happens sometimes. All right, let me get you zoomed in here. Yeah, I just didn't have my mic on before, guys. I'm sorry. I I did the sound check and everything, and then I put it on the charger and forgot about it. But I think this is better than this, right? What? Oh, can you hear? Can you also hear me like swallow? So happy Friday, guys. How's everybody doing? Jason, I'm doing fantastic. I that kind of depression thing happens every once in a while. I just knew I wanted to take a little time off, and so I kind of I shared or probably overshared a little bit. I'm all good. I'm gonna give it just a few seconds for people to come in. Here you go. Apparently, I know nothing. Yeah, it's been a long week. I just want to get my list of uh, questions up. One sec. There it is. Okay. The Dad Cave. I'm glad to be back, man. I just needed a couple of weeks. I honestly would have been back faster had I not injured my shoulder, because that's kind of what put me out for longer. I really was only going to take my plan was to take 2 weeks off and still kind of film a little bit, but just not have to worry about like like a posting schedule. And then I fucked up my shoulder, and then it ended up being more like a month. Saturday number two? It's crazy. Okay. Yeah. See. Yeah. Honestly, I think you guys don't see some of the energy because I think you see more of the energy in the outtakes, because that's me just screwing off. James finally got the truck, dude. Jeez. The shoulder the shoulder's it's on the mend. It's doing better. I can't lift heavy with it. So like today, I was going to the kids are getting ready to start kindergarten. So I grabbed one of their backpacks and I was going to set it on the counter, and I can't. I can only get about halfway up, and then I can't pick it up any further. But it's like, for all intents and purposes, like I don't feel I'm not going to be building anything like super enormous in the near future, because I'd be a little worried about that. But I'm way more comfortable uh, that I wouldn't endanger myself in the shop. Is there any particular project that you're looking forward to doing? Yes. The project that I've been wanting to do for a while is an outdoor couch, and that was supposed to be like a July project, and then the shoulder got in the way. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't know, like if I can't do it in August, I might wait until next year to do it because it's a summer outdoor project and it'll do better then. Like I built some outdoor chairs, and when did I do those? Like I built them like October or something.
I might build them. I don't know.
Anyway, but they didn't do like that video didn't do really well until the next summer. Yeah, I should always put the outtakes in there. I don't know. That's just me, dude. And it's good to hear that because, it's one of those things that I normally would cut out. And so what I do is I just, when I'm editing the video, I just cut a little bit and throw it at the end and do that. And that's just, honestly, that's just me fucking off in the shop. 2x4x8. So Jason, yeah, prices have definitely dropped a little bit. I wouldn't say they're anywhere near normal, and I haven't checked 2x4s in a while. But I did notice that the price of 1x lumber has dropped a lot, which makes sense because it's not as construction grade. But I've noticed that plywood's definitely on the decline. It's still higher, but it's on the decline. So that's good. I've heard that like within the next 2 months or so, it's supposed to normalize. Like, Craig, this is part of an infinity bottle. So it's just it's a mixture. And here's a little bit more of that pour, right there. Yeah, Jem, I screw up all the time, but that was kind of the point behind the channel. After like my first video or something, it was like, wait, like people don't show their screw ups, and it makes woodworking look like this like completely unachievable thing for like average Joe. And it's not. Yeah, Jason, that's where it is now here too. But man, it was up to like $90 for a 3/4 inch piece of 4x8 sheet of plywood. Come on, $90? Fucking kidding me? The thing that was killing me was I was buying some 2x4s, and I usually buy 2x4s for like $3 to like $3.50, and they were like $7. I was like, what? Zach, I'm a whiskey bourbon guy. I used to drink scotch, but when I drink scotch, there's something about scotch that like doesn't appeal to me as much as whiskey and bourbon. And so whenever I would drink scotch, hate me if you want, I used to drink it with water. Craig, that's awesome, dude. Very cool. So okay, so if like I just want to say if there's anybody new here, like I see most of the people I see are regulars. But if you're new here, my name is Nick. Obviously I have a YouTube channel, and I do woodworking, and I talk about being depressed, and I'm a dad, and I have twins, not in that order, but just I started this channel after my kids were born because I felt like I lost a little bit of my identity, and I feel like I regained that going out in the shop and working on stuff. Derek, I've seen a little bit of an influx, but not like I would love to see, and it's 2.7 by the way. I would love to have seen like a higher influx, but I am in the uptick, so that's nice. What's crazy is that video generated me a bunch of affiliate payments for the Grow Blazer that I used in that video. So that was nice. So Jason, so just like for those of you guys out there, I know some people did see like a higher influx and stuff, but like hardwood prices to me didn't go up that much. It was like construction lumber and stuff like that. So if you want to build a dresser or something, build it out of poplar. Poplar's cheap as shit. If you're gonna paint it, build it out of poplar. Poplar's like it's flat and it's cheap. I mean, it's got no character. If you want to burn it or something like that, like it doesn't have anything to it. But poplar, like a poplar tree grows and it like its branches drop off. It doesn't have knots or anything. It's crazy. James, you're killing me, man. When you're like, yeah, I used to watch this with your old man. That was just me watching Home Improvement. Patriot, you out? Well, Zach, definitely check out. I got a whole playlist on Shoshugiban, and if you have any questions, you can always email me at nick at builddadbuild.com. Hold on, I'll throw it out here. I know there's some way that I can probably pin it, but you can always email me there. Jason, no kidding, right? But you know what? I like the safety features on it too. I think it looks cool, but the fact that I don't know if you've ever taken that gun and you try to tip it down, it'll shut off and it won't fire anymore. The guy that built those he's an engineer, and there's a bunch of safety features in there. And when I actually after I got them, I thought they were kind of crappy because if you hook that up to like a 5 gallon, not a 5 gallon, like a 20 pound container of propane, if you turn the propane on too fast, there's a safety feature valve in just the hose that cuts off the gas, so you don't like dump too much propane and like blow something up. And I didn't know that. And like with my weed torch, I just crank it up. So whenever I used it like attached to that propane canister, I was like, man, this thing kind of sucks. And they contacted me about it, and I talked to them a little bit, and like it was amazing. Like when they kind of explained to me what I was doing wrong, I was like, holy crap! I use that thing way more than I did. I was kind of on the way out of being an affiliate for them anymore because I was like, the product's okay. And then I found out that it was total user error, which go figure, 90% of the time it's user error with me. So Craig, man, yeah, I'm not saying that everybody else isn't doing great DIY videos. I just don't want to be everybody else. So Jason, that is always changing, and I have a theory. I feel like you start watching a couple of YouTubers. So I started watching like Dave Prosciutto from Make Something, Jimmy DiResta, Bob over I Like to Make Stuff. Those were kind of my staples. Like if I think back, those are the three people that I really first started watching. But that was way back in the day, and they were doing like simpler projects. So I still enjoy watching them, but I don't pull as much, I guess, inspiration from some of the stuff they're doing. Like right now, Bob is like rehabbing a carbon Ghia, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I like cars and whatnot, but I'm not like a gearhead or anything like that. So to me, that's not something I want to watch. Now down the road, when I decide to like, rehab an old Jeep or something like that, I will probably go back and watch Bob's stuff. But from there, I went to like the Homemade Modern and Modern Builds, Four Eyes Furniture, those guys. And those guys kind of, it was the same thing, man. It was like, they were like a level above me, and then they kind of started branching out and doing other things. So I find that like you kind of you find somebody that you want to stick with because you really like their personality, and those are the people you watch. Like Dave Picciuto, every time he puts out a video, I want to watch his video, and I could care less about half the stuff he's doing, but like he is the one I want to watch. So I feel like I always want my channel to have personality, I guess. Like like I've said this, like every live stream I ever do, anybody I ever talk to, I want you to feel like you're sitting in the shop with me and we're bullshitting while I'm making something. That's the reason I don't do voiceovers and stuff like that. I want you to feel like I'm doing something and you're right there and you can look over my shoulder and see it happen. Craig, I don't know what I would have been capable of. Craig said your personal experience with depression hits home, and I would have really been curious. So I was raised that like any sort of mental issue was a sign of weakness, and you just do not ever admit that. And so for a long time, I was macho neck and didn't. Well, I just neglected it more than anything. You know, I just didn't admit it. And I'm really curious if I would have been medicated earlier in life, how things would have panned out. Hey, Carl, thank you. So if I'm looking off in the corner, I'm just reading your comments. So what kind of metal are you working with, James? Yeah, 731. I did 731, and Steve Ramsey, you got that right, Jim. His courses. I've not personally taken one, but I've really considered taking one just to see how he has it laid out, because he's, you know, it's a course that you pay for, and he teaches you like from beginning to end how to build a project. And I would love to do that. I'm really curious how he does it, because he is very good at being very down to earth and just, you know, giving you the information. So, I mean, like, how are you? Aluminum's really easy to work with. I mean, you don't need special tools or anything for aluminum. So, what are you trying to do exactly, James? Hey, Charles, how's it going? I'm fantastic, actually. I am amazing. Okay, so let's see. Now that we're we're in a little bit, let me get your questions up. James, man, come on. Let's see. You're talking about, let's see, a DIY router sled. I mean, I've seen some DIY router sleds. Let's see. Illustrate how cheaply made a DIY router sled can be built. So, yeah. So what James wants to do is he wants to surface plane, basically like a live edge piece of wood. So what he wants is a router sled. You guys, so trying to, like, I'm gonna explain it to you guys. Like a router sled is if you don't have a planer, or well, I guess a planer, it's a jig that has rails on either side, and then it slides back and forth, and you take a surface facing bit, and you can basically set your router to a certain depth and go over and smooth out the top of that slab. And what he's saying is that, like, if you look them up on Amazon, like, they're like $600 and they're made out of metal and stuff like that. I would say, I mean, you know, spending a little extra on thicker plywood. So basically, yeah, I would do it. You know what I would make it out of? It depends on how big your slab is, but I'd make it out of MDF. The thing would be heavy as shit, but you don't really have to. I guess it depends on what you, I guess it depends on where you're keeping it, right? If it's going to stay in the same place all the time, then make it out of MDF. Everything will be super flat, and it'll just be heavy as shit. If you have to like hang it on the wall or go put it behind something or whatever, maybe make it out of plywood. It'll be a little lighter, but in my experience, everybody talks about how heavy MDF is. In my experience, like a sheet of MDF is just about as heavy as a sheet of, or I'm sorry, a sheet of, 3/4 inch ply is just about as heavy as MDF. People is crazy. Jason, don't worry about it, man. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to answer the questions. Where's Moises? There he is. Hey, buddy. What's up, brother? Let's see. I've considered it too, so everyone can get a little too far into religion at times. Jim. Yes. Let's leave it there. Before I be able to bend a 6-inch U channel without having to cut. James, I think you could hammer it. I mean, aluminum's super easy to work with. I mean, like if you have like a U channel that's that thick, maybe you can't, but I think you'd be all right. You honestly, you could sit there, you could hit it with a torch, because aluminum, I mean, it'll melt with like propane. Thanks, Mind Pilot. I appreciate it, brother. Jabberwocky. No, I totally agree. I don't think I'm the only case. I think that there's still a lot of people out there that like have some sort of mental issue that they've been taught all their life they shouldn't have, and so I would like to normalize that as much as possible, because a lot of people can't talk about it, but I can. So I'll talk about it on my platform, and hopefully, if I can help some people, that's what it's all about. Yeah, MDF is heavy, but like especially if you're using it for like that kind of, like if you're using it for a sled situation like that, unless you got to move it around a lot, if you have to every time, like if you got a small shop and every time you want to surface something you got to take it outside, that may be an issue, but it's not. That's also not a jig or anything you have to move around a lot. Like it just has to sit there, and then you make your apparatus to go across the top and go from there. Hey, Kent. Thanks, Moises. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, James, like aluminum is very pliable. You could probably just sit there and work it with, like I said, with a torch and a hammer. So let's see. I think Jim was the one that asked this question. I might be mixing it up. No, Jim did not ask this question. He asked the next one. I have best epoxy dyes, and a few do's or don'ts, or maybe a lot of don'ts. I did do a video on do's and don'ts, but I would say the main things you need to know about epoxy are, let's see, temperature. Temperature is huge. The working time and the temperature that epoxy will actually do its thing. Depending on the epoxy, I'm going to talk about Total Boat because I work with that most. You're looking at about 65 to 80 degrees. If you're outside of that, you're going to have issues. So if you're trying to do it in a garage in the summer and you don't have AC, don't. I work with it, like when I do epoxy pours and stuff in the summertime, I do them in my office because I can control the temperature up here. So there is that. Make sure you're working with the right epoxy. So some people will, and when I say some people, like I've made all the mistakes. Tabletop epoxy with Total Boat, like you pour it like you can pour it a quarter inch, you can pour it a little more, but not much more than that. If you pour 3 inches, let's say, well, not 3 inches, let's say you pour an inch and a half uh, of tabletop, it is going to react violently to that. And when I say violently, I guess I mean volatilely in the sense that it's going to get super hot and it's going to melt shit, and it gets bad. So when you're working with epoxy, read the labels. That's what people don't get. You can't watch a video for one kind of epoxy and apply those rules to another brand of epoxy even, because everybody uses a different chemical makeup. They have, what you can pour to and everything. Total Boat, again, love me some Total Boat. But Total Boat has like an epoxy calculator on their website. They have all of those questions kind of answered for you. So if you're thinking about looking into it, I guess I should put a link to my thing, because if you've never used Total Boat epoxy before, I can get you 10% off your first order. But they're very clear, like they know their audience. So some of these other companies, and I'm not saying anything bad about other types of epoxy, but some of the other companies are like chemical companies and they don't know their audience. Like Total Boat has figured out that they have a large amount of makers that use their products, and so they explain it a little bit better. And I'm not the brightest guy in the room most of the time, so like I like things to be dumbed down for me. So that's the reason I like Total Boat. I'm trying to think of other don'ts. Always glove up, but come on, you guys know that. Know your cure times too. That's another thing. Like Total Boat thick set, which is what you can pour that at like an inch and a half. Cure is totally different than tabletop. Tabletop will be kind of almost hard in a couple hours. That's what she said. And thick set will take at least 24. So you don't want to mess with it. Let's see, and then know your full cure times too, because just because you can pop it out of the mold doesn't mean that you can't put it into, or you can put it into like a planer or something. So if your epoxy hasn't cured fully, which is usually like a week or something, and you put it in a planer, it'll gum your planer up, because even though it's harder to touch, it's not fully cured, and the heat of the blade and everything will kind of mess with it. So make sure it's fully cured so you don't have that problem, because it's the same thing if you run a saw across it. Make sure it's fully cured. All right, my nose is just, sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up now. There's a bunch of stuff. Apparently I know nothing. Yeah, haters, you just, after a while, you know what? Don't get me started on haters. I like Dave Piscitto, Jimmy DeRosa, Dave Piscitto, and Bob from I Like to Make Stuff have a podcast called Making It. And Dave Piscitto says all the time, he's like, you can get 1,000 people saying he did a great job, and you can get one person that says that they fucking hated it, and that's all you dwell on the rest of the day. And it's so true. I don't know why, but you're like, I don't know, like your brain's just wired to look at the negative. So you know what? I just delete those. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna try. Chionilu? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay, so a bunch of stuff goes into why wood warps. One is, so the biggest one is when you buy stuff from Home Depot, even though they say it's kiln dried, it's not. It's still wet. If you have a moisture meter and you put it on like a 2x4 that you get from Home Depot, more than likely it's above 15 or 20%, which is not acceptable. When you put heat on wood, especially when it's wet, and you remove that heat rapidly, that's kind of what causes it to warp. So in those cases, like one, I would say if you are just a hobbyist, go out, buy your wood, and let it sit in your garage for like a couple of weeks. If you want to be really sure, buy a moisture meter. They're like 20 to 40 bucks, and check it out. And once you're below about 15%, probably about 10, then it's gonna be easier to burn. Okay. Other things to look for when you're burning, or before you burn, I guess when you're picking your wood. The straighter the grain, so when you look at the end grain of the board, so if I have a board, I've got face grain, I've got edge grain, and then I've got end grain, right? So the end is the end of the board, usually the place where they put the sticker, or usually the place is a little rough. If you look at that, the flatter those lines are, the better. Okay, so you're always going to, not always, but you're pretty much most of the time going to see a little bit of a C. That's okay, but you don't want to see it like a really big C. Okay, then so you want to be flatter, and then you want to burn the side. Okay, so it's throwing me off because there's a delay. If here's my board, do I have a piece of wood up here? I do not. I don't have, there is a chunk of wood sitting right there. Okay, one sec. This is going to be the worst piece of wood I've ever had. Yes. Okay, this is a horrible example. Because, of course, the piece of wood that I find is like, I've cut this at angles, so it obviously is, it looks pretty flat. But let's say that, see how it sees a little bit this way? So consider this is flat and this is flat, right? If you burn this side of the wood, it's going to be more likely to cup this way. If you burn this side of the wood, it's going to be less likely to cup the other way and more likely to just kind of stay flat. Does that make sense? I wish I had a better piece of wood to demonstrate that with. And the third thing is, and I've gone over this in a couple of videos, but get yourself a little spray bottle of water, spray while you go. So burn, spray, and keep the wood like slightly moist while you're doing it, and you'll see less of that because that happens like when the moisture is escaping the wood. So if you're putting some back down on there, and then one last thing is you may be putting the heat on for too long. So you may want to go like with faster passes, if that makes sense. So instead of like sitting there with the torch on one place, like, you'll kind of get a rhythm after a while. But if you sit there and just like fire it down on one section, that's like that rapid loss of water is really going to cause it to move more. Now I need to figure out where I was. Oh, there we go. Way up there. The twins are fantastic. The twins start kindergarten, right? Kindergarten in like 2 weeks?
Week and a half.
Week and a half. Where to start? Charles, just start, dude. Just start. It's like when people are like, I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but I just don't know where to start. Just start. Just build something. I am losing you guys. I may have. So Jason, I'm sorry. I did miss your question. Can you ask it again? Let's see, on how you feel about CNC and lasers, something I'm going to get into. So my video on Sunday is going to be about the new laser I got. Um, and so so a company contacted me. They wanted to send me a laser, and I said okay. And then I didn't think it was going to happen, so I contacted a bunch of other laser companies because I got really excited. And so now I have another one that's still in the box, sitting down in the entryway. That's another company sent me. So basically, what you're going to see is you're going to see a video on a very a very budget friendly laser, which does work, man. Like, I don't mean like, yeah, it works. Like, it does work. It's very like it's a very good piece of equipment, and it's like 450, which when you're looking at lasers is super cheap. Now you got to put it all together and all that stuff, but it's pretty cool. The other one is like a much higher price tag, but it's all kind of already done for you. So the video that's coming out on Sunday is a diode laser. The one I have down in the box is a CO2 laser. I don't know how much you guys know about this. Basically, a diode would be like your, I guess, least powerful laser, and then you have CO2, and then you have fiber, right? And fiber can cut, I almost said muscle. Fiber can cut metal. So, like, if you want to engrave metal, you can engrave metal with a coating with like a diode or CO2, but you can't actually engrave metal with anything less than like a fiber laser. And fiber lasers, if you watch them work, it is unreal because they go super fast. It looks fake. It's crazy. And CNCs. So Jason. So like to kind of go back to that again. I think CNCs and lasers is something that everybody should be looking into. It's very forward thinking, and what it does is it allows you to customize your work. So if you're even doing something as simple as cutting boards, I talk about this all the time on my podcast. If you're doing something just simple, like everybody makes cutting boards, right? But if you can like offer somebody a cutting board and you can carve their last name into it, or you can laser their last name into it, that just became so much more valuable to them. So yeah, CNCs and lasers are absolutely the way to go. As soon as somebody wants to send me a free CNC, I will look into CNCs. Sorry, I'm reading again, guys. Whatever. Kent, yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people that do that. And so what you do, the easiest way to do that is to uh, run a strip of painter's tape, like not on the edge, but on the back side of the flag all the way around. Do like a tabletop pour because it's self-leveling. Paint it, paint it around the corners and stuff. But what that tape will do is it'll stop you from having the drips on the bottom. So don't wait until it's fully cured because it'll be a bitch to get off. But wait until the epoxy's kind of like toughening up a little bit, and then you can just pull off all that tape, and then you'll have like this perfect edge around the back edge. Hey Pierce, I am fantastic. How's your moderator thing going? You have a cool little wrench next to your name because you're moderator. Let's see. I use Man of War exterior font. PJ, I've never heard of this. What do you think? Do you like it? I just lost you guys again. Okay, hold on. Shani Lu. Yeah, and honestly, a lot of people don't quite catch that. And yeah, if you have that like big C, it'll cup on you pretty bad. I even like when I did this desk. So like whenever you're doing any sort of like woodworking where you want a flat surface, you want to make sure your C's alternate. but I didn't pay really close attention to how bad those C's were before I burn it, and I know, I know now. St. Marcus, I haven't bought them yet, but we're definitely going. I'm assuming since it's a donation that they're not going to run out. But yeah, it's when is that? Is that next weekend? No, wait, 2 weeks. Oh, September 4th. Sorry, my wife handles all dates because my brain is shit. But yeah, we're definitely going. We're bringing the twins, and I think we're just going to drive up. It's going to be a day trip. We're not going to stay, but yeah, we'll drive up. We'll be there. Jason, yeah, it's an Auteur Laser Master Pro 2. And Kent and Jason, I was dumbfounded. So the instructions they come with on how to assemble them aren't great. My video, I can't remember the guy's name. It's Buster Beagle or something, but he did a very good how-to YouTube video that I was like kind of referencing when I watched. But from building the thing to actually putting something on it and burning something, and I'm not saying well, but like actually getting it to work was like I think it was super easy. Like I was really surprised. I thought there would be a lot more on the computer end of it, and there's not. It was simple. And then it's learning curve because you're talking about like power versus millimeters per minute and all that stuff and blah blah blah. And Jason, if you're gonna buy that, go use my link through Made the Best because I get points for that. I've been looking for laser too. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, San Marcos, we're definitely going. We just haven't bought the tickets yet. Jason, yeah, believe me, I spend a lot of time. I think a lot of people don't realize that when they're like, "Well, how do you get such straight lumber?" And I'm like, I spend a lot of time at Home Depot. Nice, nice. Yeah, James, I keep wanting to do like a bar or something. I just don't have any place to put a bar. Yeah, Mind Pilot. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're working with something like pine, like a softer lumber will do that to you in a heartbeat. Jason, is that the one that like they just? Oh wait, is that the CNC one? The one that's all wood, or is that the one that they just send you all the parts and they're like, hey, here you go. Hey Brian, what's happening, brother? Hey Matt. Thanks, brother. I'm glad to be back. All right, Jim. So let's see. You had asked thoughts and opinions on using dyes versus unicorn spit versus any other wood, color stains, actual colors. So not like gunstock and pecan. I got you. So Jason, that thing looks really cool though. So let's talk making things colored. Unicorn spit is cool and it's very versatile. It depends on what you're going to do with it. and here's why I say that. One, you have to remember that unicorn spit is water soluble. Okay, so if you're using unicorn spit, you have to use some sort of oil sealer. You can't use a water-based sealer or it'll run. So if you're planning on using a water-based sealer, you want to use something different, right? And then, so here's an argument that I go back and forth with. A lot of people say unicorn spit is really expensive. Okay, so it's not the cheapest in the world, but you don't. Very rarely do I use unicorn spit like straight. I usually do it 50-50 with water. And what I was joking about with my wife the other day is, and this is why I think people think it's so expensive. She mixed up what she thought was a small amount of white unicorn spit with water, and when she got done, what was like 3/4 of it left?
No, it's about half.
Like half. So what do you do with that other half? Excuse me. Most people throw it away. Well, so that's not the product being that expensive. That's you being really wasteful with the product, right? So just keep that in mind with unicorn spit. The thing I like about unicorn spit is like there's a huge variety of colors. You don't have to mix it, all that good stuff. It's no VOC. It smells fantastic. They actually scent it. But my thing is a good wood or leather dye, as we found out, does this weird, it just, I don't know, it just jives better with the wood. It just jives better with like a Shinshigiban finish. And I'm not saying you can't get a great finish with unicorn spit, because you absolutely can. But it, I don't know how to explain it, man. Other than you have to see it in person. It is, it just has, there's more, there's more depth. There's more warmth to it, if that makes any sense. But again, I mean, it kind of depends on your application. Because, I mean, any of that stuff gets expensive if you're putting it all over your entire house. But like what I like, I really liked working with the Kita dyes, the Kita wood dyes. What I found out is the Phoebing's leather dyes is like the same materials. So it's no VOC, it's environmentally friendly, so Paige likes it. But what I like about the Phoebing's dyes is they're good to go right out of the bottle. That was what I liked about the Folk Art Ultra dyes. Same thing, you can just out of the bottle do it. The Kita wood dyes, you got to mix it with, with the medium. So you either have to mix it with water or like I think they're liquids. They suggest to mix them with like lacquer thinner and stuff like that. To me, that's just a pain in the ass that I don't need. And the Phoebing leather dyes are actually cheaper than the Kita wood dyes. Excuse me. Jim, you're absolutely correct. Everybody should be walking around with a Build That Build sticker on their shirt. Kent, man, I was pleasantly surprised at the versatility of the Artur. I actually was going to shoot this. I don't have anything up here, do I? I was actually gonna do this in the garage, but it's still really hot in Texas. And as I was setting up, I realized that one, I don't have a mic. I don't have a way to plug in a mic to my MacBook because Apple. And it's still like 80, like even with the air conditioner on there, it's still like 80 degrees. I was surprised at the versatility and the different projects I could crank out from basically no laser knowledge to like a week after. I just dropped something on the floor. Like receiving the laser to 7 days in, which is that video. When you watch that, that is basically it. I got the laser, I built it, and then I think there was like 2 days in there where I I just watched videos, and then I started putting stuff in the laser. And within a week, the stuff that I'm showing you on screen is stuff that I was able to do just playing with that. And that was not, I mean, there was another video goal. Like I was filming another thing then, so it wasn't like 100% laser. Honestly, the laser, like the CNC, is a lot of like hurry up and wait. Like you get it all set up and then you let it run and you go check on it every once in a while, make sure it doesn't fuck up. But other than that, I was surprised at like the results I got, which I think are pretty good results, having never used anything like that before. And yeah, I mean, for being under $500, are you kidding? Everybody should have one. If you're doing anything, if you're doing any sort of woodworking in your shop, where and you're selling it, like when I say wood, like small items, if you're doing charcuterie boards, coasters, anything like that, that laser's gonna pay for itself within shit, depending on your sales, probably, but probably within the month. Okay, so Brian's asking, does burning or charring your wood weaken the wood? Thinking about building a couple tool doors in my shop with the leather die you used, but didn't know how sturdy the door would be after burning. So when you burn pine, especially, or wood in general, drop something on the floor and it's gonna stick me in the foot. Uh, what you're burning out is a soft cellulose material. So you're not weakening the wood. I mean, they actually the Shoshugiban is a treatment the Japanese used. It was actually Yakasugi, but that they used to like for wood for siding for their houses and stuff like that. It makes it more waterproof. It makes it more weatherproof. It makes it more insect proof. So no, it's not going to weaken the wood at all. What you're removing is the softest part of the wood. So James, check out like local leather shops too, though, because what I was told, I ordered mine from Amazon, but what I was told is that like Tandy Leather, there's a lot of Tandy Leather places around here. They all sell it. So like if you could find a local like leather shop, like usually they do boots or something like that, check with them because they probably have it in stock. Or I mean they might have a different kind of leather dye, but like still check it out. So PJ, so it's funny you say that because what I always recommend for outdoor is it's called Halcyon Rugged Varnish. And the thing I like about it is it's UV resistant. It's got a little bit of a rubber quality to it, so if your wood shifts, it doesn't crack or anything like that. The problem is you got to put like 7 coats on it to make it UV resistant. So I was kind of curious what you were using, just because. But yeah, definitely check out Halcyon because so dry time's like an hour. So even though it's like 7 coats, you can do it in a day, like a weekend if you're working. But obviously, I mean, you can do it in a day. Let's see. I want to do custom lettering on flags with it. Yeah. So Kent, what you're gonna want to do, okay, without spending a ton of money, go with the hauteur. The reason I say that is because what you can do is you can raise the hauteur up and slide something underneath that. The other laser I have downstairs, so it's a Muse core, and it does have a 12 by 20 bout in it, and it does have the ability to like take out the bottom of the machine and slide something larger like that in there. But it's also a $3,000 machine, so you know what I mean, like at least like baby steps, man. Try the hauteur out and see what you think. You know, because like to me, it seems super easy to use. I can see other people thinking like it's a nightmare because you know I work with vector-based programs all the time. Pierce, man, it happens. So Marines like Marines, like Simplify Marines. Nice, absolutely, Brian. Yeah, James, actually what Texas Tap Handles is the guy that was telling me about the leather dye, and he was the one that told me to go to Tandy, and I was like, you know what? I don't like to leave my house. Hello, Amazon. Do you have things for me? And Amazon said yes, and it was still cheap. It was like $7.99 a bottle or something like that. So Jim, are you trying to like? Are you just? Why would you do that? So Jim says, has anyone tried using a large piece of leather for a workbench top? I don't. I'm confused on why you would do that. I would hope it'd be cheap leather. Um, but is it so like stuff doesn't move type thing? I don't know. Well, simplify, my bud. Roy, no worries, brother. No worries. So, um, so with the shoulder thing, you guys are gonna see. Well, with the shoulder thing and the fact that I now have two lasers, you guys are probably gonna see a little bit more laser, like more laser videos. So I would encourage you to let me know what you want to see lasered because I'm actually kind of curious as well. Because what I would like to do, since I have since well, I will eventually have two up and running lasers. You know, you can kind of set them and forget them to a certain degree. I mean, you can always have failures, but I want to start probably turning out some products that I can sell and have that kind of work in the background while I'm doing a video for YouTube. So I'd be curious your guys' ideas. Take your time with it. Oh yeah. So that was, and I talk about it. I talk about it in the upcoming video. But that was one thing I didn't realize is you can make more than one pass. So I learned, like I cut one thing out. I cut like a little Punisher skull out, and I burnt the shit out of the side of the wood. And then I went back and I cut like through a thicker piece of ply, but I did it with multiple passes, and like it looks great. Laser focused, Craig. That's right. Um, yeah, I thought it was really weird. I guess the Ortur laser. I'm gonna get the names all messed up because they're just too damn long. Laser Master 2, you had to focus the laser. This is just reminding me of this because Craig said laser focus. Um, so I was trying to do that with the Pro, and I don't think you can. Like it doesn't. There's nothing that turns. It just like it comes with a like a little milled piece of aluminum, and like you just set your depth, like how far you are away, and that's the only thing I found that I can adjust so far. It's a good one, Craig. Also, I got to figure out something so next week is Friday the 13th. I had this whole idea for what I was going to do for Friday the 13th, but um, okay, you know for sure there's no focus. Uh, I currently have something in my mold, and I realized today that I cannot make the thing that I was going to make for Friday the 13th because it was going to have epoxy in it in time. So now I got to figure out like a project that I can do next week for Friday the 13th. So Jason, the new Artur, the Laser Master Pro 2, the Laser Master 2 Pro, it actually has a like a flame detection on it, and it will shut everything down. The funny thing is, I'm assuming it detects smoke somehow or whatnot, but I had it going, and it had been going for a while. Okay, so it was not like, and it was not building up. Like there wasn't, like you can definitely smell the wood burning, but there wasn't smoke in the garage or anything. I opened the garage door because I needed to pull the car out, and that sensor went off as soon as I opened the door. And all I can think of is that like the pressure change kind of kicked up like sawdust or something in the air and set that thing off. Which, I mean, it's great that it's there. Don't get me wrong. That's amazing. But it kind of sucks because it shuts the whole machine down. And the software, I haven't found a way to get the software to start back where it was. So usually that whatever's on the table is done. Well, I guess you can go back and you start over, but if like, and I was cutting something out, so that wasn't any big deal. But if you were like in the middle of like etching a picture or something, I think you're hosed. Yeah, Jason, and that's what I think too. Like they always talk about like the focal length and how it's got to be, but this has like a little designated piece that you put in there, and then you set the laser down on it, tighten it up, and then take that piece out and laser away. So James, it's crazy. Like I said, I kind of wish I had some of the pieces up here. So I did some, I did some stuff on wood, but I also found these videos online where people take a kitchen tile, like a 4x4 tile or 3x3 tile, and they spray paint it they take a white tile and they spray paint it like red, let it dry, spray paint it black, let it dry, and then you can take an image and you can etch it into there. And what it does is it burns out it'll burn through the black down to the red in places, and some places it'll burn all the way down to the white. And you have these really cool like tiles that could be coasters or whatever that have like an image on them. So like I have one that's like a Freddy Krueger where it's just like kind of creepy looking, and it's freaking amazing. So versatile. Yeah, Craig, you're absolutely right, and so it's yeah. Anybody, I shouldn't say anybody. Most people I know that have a problem with their CNC like snapping bits, it's because they're taking too much of a bite, and I'm like, so the thing is, it's the same thing as when you burn the wood with a router, right? Like a lot of times you're either pushing it too fast or you got the bit down too far. The problem is the CNCs a lot of times, especially the smaller ones, have a really you know thin bit, so it's if you push it too hard, it's gonna snap. All right, Jason, take it easy. So, Jim, what part of the country are you in? Let's see. James, I wasn't either, man. And like I even say in the video, like I don't know anything about lasers. Before a company contacted me and offered me to send me one, like I wasn't really that interested in it. What I was really thinking about doing is I was either thinking more like along the lines of like a CNC or even like a brand. But what I want to do is I'm going to do a series of videos. So I did the first one, the crosscut sled, and then what I want to do is do a video on like how to make a cutting board. And then the next video is probably going to integrate the laser now. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do there, but I'm going to basically say, okay, well, here's your cutting board. It's beautiful, right? But if you put like, if you can, put somebody's logo on it or like their last name or something like that, like you just added, 20 to 30 bucks at least, probably more like 50 to the price tag on that thing. So if this is what you want to do, this is an easy way to get more money per unit, per things going out the door. And once, for 450, let's say you're making an extra 50 bucks per unit, 450, that's 9 units you got to put out the door before that thing is paid for itself. Come on. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to pass up, I guess. So, Jim, you think about heading to? I can't remember which one it is now. there's a bunch of there's a bunch of maker things all going on in the next couple of weeks. Let's see, where is that? 1 second, I'm looking it up. Do you remember what it's called, Paige? It's called Texas Woodworking Festival. It's September 4th from 11 to 5 in Austin. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, I will definitely be there. Paige and the kids will like 90% be there. Well, Paige will 90% be there. Kids, what, like 75? We'll see. We'll see if they want to go to grandma's. All right, guys. So I'm out of questions that were submitted, and then I just I mean, I really just I think I kind of already covered it. My whole other thing I was going to talk about is like, I'm all good. Shoulders getting better. I don't want to get into the fact that I jacked up my wrist a little bit. We're working on it, but like depression wise, like sometimes it just hits me hard, and the hard thing about it is I don't realize I'm getting depressed until I'm kind of a lot depressed, and then it's trying to climb back out of that hole. That was what I was trying to explain on the YouTube video. I do take medication, and not just this medication. And I 90% of the time have it like under control. It's things have to snowball, and sometimes they snowball, and then it gets me. And if anybody has any other questions I want to throw out there, definitely like fire them over in chat. Damien, if you're going to make something that long, what I would do is, yes, I would glue the boards together first, but I would take precautions. Like I would, like if you're going to do like 2x8s or something and make them 9 foot long, I would assemble all those, and then what I would do is I'd flip it over. I would router every probably 2 feet, a channel, and drop like a little metal C channel in there and screw it in to ensure that it's not gonna, you'll still get it, it'll a little bit, but it's not gonna curl on you. And don't do breadboard ends. I found that out. Um, so James, the thing is, I don't want to like totally get away from woodworking or like building other stuff because I really enjoy it. But I am, people send me tools all the time. Well, I shouldn't say people send me tools all the time, but people send me tools, and I use them, and sometimes I like them, and sometimes they're just okay, or sometimes they just get a job done. This laser is fascinating. It's fascinating. You don't understand, like fascinating. I can't. It's amazing. And then I have another one that apparently can cut like much more stuff and do much crazier things. And ugh, I'm really bummed out because I sat down like when I was getting everything set up in the garage. I sat a bunch of sample pieces out so I showed so I could show them to you guys. And when I realized it was too hot and whatnot, I grabbed everything and ran up here and I totally forgot. Like there's a stack of stuff sitting there.
Do you want me to go get it?
If you want, it's I think it's still sitting on the red bench. You'll see. I mean, it's like the tiles and different stuff like that. So PJ, I'm just curious about this leather business on your top. I have so many questions. I'm like, so one, do you like wet it, stretch it out, attach it, and then dry it somehow? Because I would think that you would have issue with that. I mean, I guess not. And then the other thing is, do you do the smooth side or the rough side up? If that makes sense. I would think that I would just ruin a leather benchtop immediately. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, so Paige went down and grabbed some stuff for me. Okay, so like, well, this is in the video, and that is, I mean, this is a cedar fence picket, man. This is my first thing that I did, and now it's not great quality, but look at how rough this is, and look, you can still read the thing, I think. So then I wanted to like do like a one of the things that's big on Etsy is like engraving photos. So check this out. This is a photo I pulled off my phone of my daughter at a soccer game. Look at that. And I mean, if you get real close, you can see the lines in it because I didn't have it set right. But this is probably the second thing I did. Peggy says, "Yeah, Paige," and Craig says, "Thanks, Paige."
All right. Woo.
So this is something that I wanted to try with the diode laser because this is something that I like. From my understanding, like you can do a lot better with a CO2 laser, where you can actually get like a really 3D effect. And you guys won't see this in any video. You're only going to see it here. I might take a picture of it at some point. This is not a great result, but it kind of gives you an idea of how you can get 3D in there. So I probably did one pass too many and kind of started to burn out some of the face. But like, look at the ribs and stuff like that. That's crazy. That is a $450 machine. So that is cutting into. What's up, Ryan? I'm fantastic, brother. I'm excellent. Thank you for checking in on me. Carl, what is car siding? I don't know what that is. Okay, so then we have Remember, I was talking about the red paint and then the black paint and then engraving it. So this is a little Deadpool guy. So you can see, like, we're still working on it here, like that line and whatnot. Part of this was like I think I had kind of a bad image. I didn't have a lot of like the background on this image was flat. There was nothing to it. So we kind of have that going on. But check that out. And then, so this is probably my favorite one so far. Check this out. Little Freddy Krueger. Look at that. I don't know if you can see the detail on this from my webcam, but like it's crazy. The detail on there is nuts. So that is what I've been working on. Thank you, Damien. I appreciate the donation. Doggo, hey brother. Wow, I missed a bunch of people. So the photos on glass, my understanding, I don't know if I can do that with the diode. I know you can do it with the CO2 laser. CO2 laser, the reason it's downstairs, they delivered it today. It's like 80 pounds. Like I couldn't carry it up here by myself. The box is like this wide. Anyway, so I'm gonna need a little help getting it up here. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna set it up because apparently it's not moving ever. Craziness. Dealer worth. Okay. Dog, I was never gonna quit. I was never gonna quit for good. Everybody seems to think that. I said in the video even I was only gonna be for a couple of weeks. I like this is something I've always like being a YouTuber, and I know it sounds crazy because I'm 47, but it's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be on YouTube. If anything, if I was going to do anything, I would just go make some other kind of channel. But considering all the work I put into this one, I don't know if I really want to do that. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? Yeah, James, like some of the stuff that these guys are doing with, so you can do that kind of same treatment on a like a canvas. You can take a picture canvas and paint it and then laser it off like that. These guys are doing these crazy, awesome pictures of like what I'm gonna mispronounce it, Maleficent, and stuff like that. Very cool. Now not my cup of tea, but it still looks really cool. Oh, Jessica. So Muse sent me out the core, which is like still in the box downstairs. It literally got here today. I've not had a chance to even mess with it. But it's my understanding that like yeah, if you want to do glass, you're going to do it with the CO2 laser. Now I'm hitting up people to see if I can get them to send me a fiber. Those things are like $15,000. Nick's not buying one of those anytime soon, kids. PJ, and I've heard of some of those, and that sounds like really cool that you can do all that stuff. I currently, and I don't see this to be insulting because this will probably change. I currently don't really have a whole lot of interest in like 3D printing. I don't know why. Like when I watch people do it, I think it's cool. I don't know. It seems, and actually after like getting a laser engraver and seeing how easy it is, maybe my whole thing with the 3D printing has been like, I don't think I can do that type thing, these guys are much smarter than I am, and then like the laser engraver is so easy. But currently, 3D printing is not on my radar. But I have to say, like, you know what? Laser engraving wasn't really on my radar until somebody like reached out and offered to send me one. So I can't be mad about that. Doggo, come on. You know how you got to run the game. The funny thing is, after I put out that video, like a week later, somebody else, I don't want to say his name, but he put out a video saying like, I'm quitting YouTube. The title was I'm quitting YouTube. And so same thing, man. I went in there and I was like, had to watch it. And he's like, yeah, he's like, unfortunately, I have to do like, clickbaity titles like that to get people to watch anymore. And the sad thing about that is that video for my recent videos, that video has outperformed like the like my last 6 months worth of videos. People want to see that train wreck, man. Oh, hey, AGM, man. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Dude, my Jeep looks fantastic. So AGM Detail it just came in. He has a YouTube channel. Go follow his YouTube channel. He's a mobile detailer, car detailer. He does excellent work, and he needs more subscribers. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can coat it first. The other thing is like apparently you can just do I think it's white spray paint on a white tile, and it'll burn all the black, and then you can get all the white off, and it won't scrape. It'll just stay there. So these, like you can feel that. Now if I put a top coat on this, it won't scrape off. But I guess right now, like if I sat here and picked at it, which I'm not going to because I love this, it would chip off. Now I guess something about white on white like actually burns the tile. I don't know. Like I don't know that much about it yet. Something about like coloring it with marker too. Juan, is Coachella a place? Is it? Well, glad to see you, Juan. I always thought Coachella was a festival only. You learn something new every day. First, I'm kind of with you on that too, but it's what you want to do with it too. I mean, like I know people that have 3D printers that make all sorts of shit with them. I actually for the laser. So this laser is it's 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. It's like 16 inches by 16 inches. And so the thing is it's not super easy to get stuff lined up on it and things like that. You gotta kind of work a little bit. And so the thought process is to put it on a piece of plywood and then laser in like a grid on that plywood so you know how to line stuff up. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. Except if you bump the laser, if you bump the frame at all, it's going to off shift it from that. And then you don't really want to screw the laser into the plywood because the idea of it being that open frame is if I want to laser on something that's 4 foot tall, I just need to pick the laser up and set it above that 4 foot tall thing, and I have all that space. So somebody came up with this idea of just these little like 3D printed slots for the feet. And what you do is you put your laser on there in the feet, you screw the feet into the board, do your grid, and then whenever you pick up your laser, it always has to fit back into those feet or those slots. So it's brilliant. It's a dumb little thing that I would have never thought of in a million fucking years. But you know what? That shit's on its way from Etsy. Because it's a great idea. And so like the 3D printing world is fascinating to me. I just don't I don't know. I'll figure it out. Like next month I'll be talking about my 3D printer. So I have to be careful what I say. Yeah, and Kent, that's another reason that people use 3D printers a lot of times is like, oh, well, I need this thing and I don't want to go buy this thing, or I need a clip, or I need to attach this to this. Crazy. So, and that's the other thing I found out about the CO2 lasers is you can take the 3D print models and you can put them in there. And so this is what I was talking about when I was like, well, this should have been done with a CO2 laser. So the 3D that's on there would have been like, I guess, much smoother and like much more 3D, I guess, if this was a CO2 laser, because you'd have like the I guess the extra power in there to kind of smooth everything over. Although I still think this looks really cool. Check it out. Damien, I would use. Is it? I'm just thinking of the C channel that you get from like Home Depot or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be. It just has to be like solid enough that it's not gonna flex, and that C part is what makes it not flex. Um, is that iron, or is it? It's I guess it's not stainless. It's probably iron. But yeah, and what I would do is like every 2 feet or something like that. Just enough to I guess the main thing would be like get the C channel really close to the edges. So maybe a couple inches in, so it doesn't allow those edges to get all wonky, and then a foot or every 2 feet, depending on how froggy you're feeling. Wait, it's 120 degrees in Coachella? Get the fuck out of here with that. We used to live in Phoenix, and Phoenix didn't get that hot when we were there. I mean, it got up in the what 115s,
Yeah, like 115.
but now it's like 115 is like the average for like when it's hot there, and it gets up to like the 120s and shit. No. And I miss Phoenix. Phoenix is the one place I would move back to, but I think now it would be Tucson, right?
Yeah, I like Tucson.
Tucson. I live in Tucson. I think I would actually live in Flagstaff now too. It's yeah. So so hot. So the thing about Phoenix again is one, it's a dry heat, which living in Houston, I can attest is a thing, because here it's a moist heat, which means that if it's like 80 degrees and it's like 70% humidity or whatever, you're just sweating balls. It sucks. Uh, Phoenix, the thing is, if you can bear with the hot temperatures, it's really only hot for like 2.5 months. And then the rest of the year, it's like between 60 and 80 and it doesn't rain. It's amazing. But yeah, see, yeah, PJ, we lived in, we lived in Phoenix, and then we lived in Peoria for a year, and then we moved to West Virginia. Don't ever do that, by the way.
No.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. Don't ever live in a big city and then move to West Virginia. I don't know what we're thinking. Can you guys still see me? And did something just happen to the feed? Because I just got a notification that the software that I'm using to run this disconnected, but I can still see me moving in YouTube. Wow. So PJ used to live in Mesa. They said the hottest I experienced was 126.
Oh.
Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. But that being said, it is also 9 o'clock in the evenings. So I've been on here for about an hour and a half. Does anybody have any additional questions? Because if not, I'm going to hop out of here and go watch TV with my wife. Yeah, Sherry, it'll get hot here, and it's the humidity that freaking kills it. It really is. Um, I mean, it gets hot in Houston. It gets over 100 and whatnot, but it's just like once that humidity creeps up, that's all she wrote. Jim, inappropriate. So Damien, don't get aluminum. Yeah, yeah, aluminum, like especially like if you put that C channel in and you're heating the wood, it'll affect the integrity of the aluminum. So go with steel. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing. And I would say I gotta get to work, but I really just want to go hang out on the couch and see what my wife's doing. Have a great night. Bye, guys.